Hello, Brad. Nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
My first question is about your visit to Prague. So how was it?
It has been fantastic. Probably very helpful that we had this wonderful couple that showed us Prague in a way that we would not have been able to do on our own. So thank you very much.
That's actually why I was asking you. Okay, but seriously, first thing I was interested in, I was wondering about was the first moment you came in touch with EFT and your impression from it, because that, as for me, it was really funny. And I saw you. I told you that the first moment I saw EFT was with you, and at the very first moment I was finding it very weird, but only until I started tapping with and then everything changed. So I wanted, actually, maybe I can ask both of you, what was your view, how you saw it at the first moment?
What was your first
Well,
time you saw?
I remember when you came back from the conference in Las Vegas. You went to the conference in Las Vegas, I think, and that's where you went to a workshop with, I think it was
with Gary. Yeah.
With Gary. And I remember you coming back saying, oh my gosh, I am cured of wanting to eat chocolate. I don't think I ever need to ever have chocolate again. And it was also a time when you came back and you had a wonderful flight, and you had been having some times where flying on a plane after for a couple years you were really nervous, and you came back and he said it was the best flight I'd ever had.
Wow.
And you really felt like that was tapping.
Yeah, it was definitely significant. The first time, as I look back at it, I think the first time I heard about tapping was Mary Eileen Pike had mentioned it to me as a friend of her mom's, who's a hypnotherapist, and had mentioned this tapping thing, but she kind of just briefly said, oh, it's this thing where you tap, and that was all that I heard about it. And actually I had also, it's funny because I had totally forgotten about it for a long time. I had gotten the video, The 5-Minute Phobia Cure with Roger Callahan, and it didn't leave an impression with me at all. For some reason. At that point I just wasn't ready for it. So it seemed, so later when we moved to Northern California and these other hypnotherapists were talking about this energy psychology conference and getting trained in EFT, it was like I hadn't heard of it before. I'd totally forgotten about it. So, and I'd been to clown college, so this was not the strangest thing that I'd ever seen or done. I was a little more open-minded than some people are coming into it. But yeah, the thing that really sold me on it was the chocolate thing was really profound. But to have a Hershey's Kiss and to not even be able to eat it was really profound.
Yeah, thank you. My next question is about the most significant aha moment you have had, maybe. Because as for me and as for people I work with, I very often experience different aha moments, real shocks, I think something is going on and suddenly there's some abstraction or there's something pops up and it's really, really surprising. So my question is, do you experience anything like that? And if so, can you give us something that was really interesting for you or surprising for you? Again, both of you, because Christy is half of the
the better half. I am often surprised because in the process of tapping, when I'm working, it comes through me. It's sort of downloading the information. So, and it's through the tapping that I open myself up to the intuition. It's not stuff that if I was just sitting there I would naturally think of, and things come to me. And I've sometimes said, something will come through me, and I'll say something out loud and go, wow, that was brilliant. I wish I'd thought of it.
Yes, exactly, yes.
So there are often moments where I'm kind of surprised at what comes, like, wow. And then the client will say, you know, that's, what are you, psychic? How do you know that, or something? And or that really hit the nail on the head. And it's just, and so there are often times that are, wow, that, and the tapping just facilitates that kind of intuitive aha moment.
So you have the same experience, Christy.
For me personally, I feel there have been times when I've just been struggling with something, maybe that I've held on to for a long time, and then sometimes it's when I'm at one of Brad's workshops, and I'll do it for a long time, during a 2-hour time period or whatever, and I'll just think, it just sort of went away, this thing I'd been holding on to, and there's almost like a feeling for me of like, that was so easy. Wow, I really fought that so long, and it just floated away.
All right.
And then just seeing how it calms me at times. Just some simple tapping sometimes. If I'm really wound up, it'll bring me down so that I can really be more present to different things I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And now, my important question. So you started some time ago, and you had some expectations, I assume. So when you look back now, was it worth it or not? Starting tapping and learning tapping. And no.
I want to answer first. I will tell you this. I am a huge fan of Brad's, and I think he does wonderful work, and I love
Me
it.
too.
Yeah. And I've always been behind him, but I went kicking and I went kicking and screaming for a bit.
Yeah. Honey, I want to tap on my face for a living. How about that?
It wasn't so much the tapping. It was, I'm going to leave the steady job I have and do this full time.
Okay.
And I went, what? And I panicked.
Yeah.
Because she had put up with me as a struggling actor. So because I'd had a steady job for the first time in my life,
and things like that.
health and so here I am saying
something weird.
I'm leaving this job.
and I sort of panicked, and I was a little resentful, and I thought, well, okay, fine, just try it. But I certainly wanted him to be successful. I will tell you, I was really worried, but Brad was able to just jump in and do it. And he started with this thing called YouTube, which was new. Nobody knew what it was. And I was like, okay, fine, do that. I don't know, it felt really edgy. And then it just snowballed so well for him. Yeah. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm your #1 fan. But I was always his #1 fan. But I will say I was resistant at first, and then I tapped.
And now that it brings us to places like Prague.
Now I really like it.
It's like, wow, your old job didn't do that for us. So for me, absolutely, this is from the journey from being an actor to doing this and finding this, and just feeling much more fulfillment. And this is definitely my calling. And so I love every minute of what I do.
People who try, because I know some people who try to do EFT, they try to type, and they spend quite a lot of time with it. And after that they come and they say, it's not working for me, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So is there anything you would advise them, you would tell them to try differently?
Well, from my perspective, EFT is always working, but it's sometimes very subtle. So it's like taking vitamins. You don't. Many people find they feel much healthier taking vitamins, but you don't take one vitamin and go, wow, I can go lift a mountain now. I feel so powerful. Or exercising, like doing sit-ups. If you haven't exercised in 20 years and you go and do 3 sit-ups, you go, oh, I don't have a 6-pack. Must not work. So it might take a little bit longer. The challenging thing with EFT is because there's so often people feel the benefits so quickly that there's an expectation that that's how it should always be. But I'll work with someone, and let's say they're feeling an uncomfortable feeling at a 9 on a scale of 0 to 10, and we'll tap and I'll say, well, maybe it's an 8.75. It's like, okay, but how long has it been a 9? And now it's shifted, even if it's just a little bit, if you can move it that much, then there's that much more. It just takes some persistence.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when, you know, every other day they were feeling uncomfortable and they were feeling really badly, and then you work with them, or I work with them, and after a month, you know, they come and say again, I felt really badly again, and I ask them, how often do you feel that way now? And they say, well, it was, you know, after 14 days. So I said, you see, that's it, you know,
Right.
that's it. You don't feel it every single day or every other day, but you know, the good times are longer and bad times are shortening, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Another example for another thing I usually use is that I say, look at people that you like, look at people who do, for example, EFT or whatever, and you look their lives and you like their lives, and it's not that they are so lucky, it's that they are working on themselves, they are using, you know, different things, and this is the result. You know, so it's not the beginning, but it's the result of the process they are doing. So you need to work on it a while, and then you'll see the results, right? If you think that one day you'll just stop using drugs and medicaments, and
right.
Yeah, if you think that EFT will be a very common thing for everybody, that all people will be using this on a daily basis, do you think it's possible, or do you believe it will happen?
I certainly hope so. That's why I make the YouTube videos, is to make it available to as many people as possible, make it easy to find. You know, it's still in that place where some people grab onto it and they absolutely love it, and some people are like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But you know, Schopenhauer said, all truth goes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as having always been self-evident. So we, you know, are hopefully getting to that point where, you know, we're still in that range where it's either ridicule or violent. There are people who violently oppose it.
Absolutely.
But more and more people are finding it and benefiting from it. People who are social influencers. You know, we have on video sometimes sports stars tapping. Yeah. You know, so you have these people who are like, oh, that's stupid, and you show them that, it's like, oh, if that guy's doing it. So, in terms of will it, you know, will we stop using drugs? That I couldn't possibly say, because I think that there are a lot of benefits to Western medicine. I think there are a lot of places where drugs have been helpful. So it would be a stretch for me to say, oh yes, I think that just tapping on her face will clear everything. Is it possible that we could, you know, use this as a tool for evolution such that we heal ourselves much more quickly and much more naturally? Entirely possible. Not sure I'll live that long, given the rate that it's going. But you know, I'm absolutely open to the possibility that humans will evolve to that point.
Christy?
Well, I agree with what he's saying. I mean, I kind of feel like there might be a place for both. I think, you know, nothing works for everybody, right? So I wouldn't say one thing has to take the place of the other, but I do feel like there are a lot of people maybe who could find a lot of help and not have to use something that isn't helpful for them. And that would be great, you know. And I see a lot of people who suffer through, I mean, we're human beings, we're born and we are going to die, so we can't change that. I don't think EFT will take care of that, but that doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing, and we could make that, our transition to the next plane could be maybe less painful and less of a struggle.
Oh, thank you, that was beautiful. Yeah, another question is about being lazy, which is my case, unfortunately. Actually, no.
I don't believe in the word lazy. It's resistance.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
We will resist something because something inside of us is telling us it's not safe to do it. because there are so many other things that we do that it's like, well, if you're lazy, if you're just lazy, you wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah. It's the things that unconsciously we're telling ourselves there's an outcome that could happen that I'm not comfortable with, and so we find reasons. And lazy is just such a common thing that it's like, oh, well, I'll just call it lazy, and it becomes easy. Because if I say I'm just lazy, I don't have to confront what's going on inside. It's just, oh, there's no issue to tap on. I'm just lazy. And it keeps us safely in our comfort zone.
Exactly, because as human beings, we really fear change on many levels, even though we say outwardly, I really want to change, and I want these new things to come into my life. But that's fearful. Yeah. Even if we don't admit it, there's some of that, and it's fearful. I know I experience that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually discussed it yesterday, in the way in the car, that we are afraid of what might pop up, but usually it's just a little gray mouse. We can deal with it very quickly. It's not such
but there's a part of us that makes it look like a huge monster.
Yes, and that's what we are afraid of.
And even if we're miserable, we're a little bit comfortable with our misery because we know it
Absolutely,
well.
because
and
we
know our anger well, and we know our trauma well. We have wrapped ourselves around it, and so peeling that away means, oh my gosh.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll know how to do that without it. So it's
I like to say it's like, even if our life is crap, it's our crap. We know where it goes. We have a place for it.
Yes.
It's
We know what will happen tomorrow.
Exactly.
You know, if you do this, what will the consequence be, right?
Yeah. Part of it's like the same old crap. Thank goodness, because I know how to deal with that. Don't give me something new. Even if it doesn't look like crap, it's still different, and that's scary to us.
So I'm really happy that I heard it from you, because this is exactly what I was thinking and what my experience was showing.
Well, then it must be right.
So,
yeah. Laziness is just unwillingness, and I like to say that when we're feeling unwilling, the person who's willing to do it may just be a few taps away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Good. So, I thought I would ask you if you would be so kind and do something with us, please.